Daniel 11, resuming, and chapter 11, verse 24. He shall enter peaceably even into the richest places of the province, and he shall do what his fathers have not done, nor his forefathers. He shall disperse among them the plunder, spoil, and riches, and he shall devise his plans against the strongholds, but only for a time. He shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army, and the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army. But he shall not stand, for they shall devise plans against him. Yes, those who eat of the portion of his delicacies shall destroy him. His army shall be swept away, and many shall fall down slain. Both these kings' hearts shall be bent on evil, and they shall speak lies at the same table. But it shall not prosper, for the end will still be at the appointed time. While returning to his land with great riches, his heart shall be moved against the holy covenant, so he shall do damage and return to his own land. Verse 29, the northern king's blasphemies. At the appointed time he shall return and go toward the south, but it shall not be like the former or the latter, for ships from Cyprus shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return in rage against the holy covenant and do damage. So he shall return and shall regard for those who forsake the holy covenant. And forces shall be mustered by him, and they shall defile the sanctuary fortress. Then they shall take away the daily sacrifices and place there the abomination of desolation. Those who do wickedly against the covenant shall be corrupt. He shall corrupt with flattery, but the people who know their God shall be strong and carry out great exploits. And those of the people who understand, they will instruct many. Yet for many days they shall fall by the sword and by flame, by captivity, and by plundering. Now when they fall, they shall be aided with a little bit of help, but many shall join with them by what? Intrigue. Enchantment. I'm going to stop here. I was going to stop in many places, but this is clearly the Antichrist is on the scene. He's bringing evil against the holy ones of Israel, which is a very small amount of people. Ultimately, the entire church. There is no rapture. There's no mention here that anyone's getting out. No, we will be persecuted against those of us that are alive. We will be tried and we will be tested. Nobody's escaping this. There's no beam me up Scotty button here. Okay? But listen to the promises for those of us that are going to go the course. Those who do wickedly against the covenant, he shall corrupt with flattery. But the people who know their God will be strong and carry out great exploits. For you cessationists, I won't mention any names, but you know who you are. For you cessationists, what does this mean here? The angel of God is telling Daniel the prophet that we will carry out great exploits. What does that mean? Healings, which they poo-poo. Raising people from the dead, which they absolutely poo-poo. Casting out demons, which they poo-poo. Now again, we can cast out demons if we're sanctified enough. But you ain't going to cast out a baby demon, if you will, if you don't have any sanctification. You can tell Satan to flee all you want, but until you have authority, he doesn't listen. So if you want authority over the devil, you have to be pure, you have to be sanctified, and you got to be walking this thing out. Armor on, sword out. Because you ain't going to win otherwise. Evil will not win. Laodicean lukewarm Christians will die in the fight. They already have. Many lukewarm Christians throughout history have already died in the fight. Do you think they went to heaven? No, they didn't. Lukewarm Christianity, Jesus says in the book of Revelation, I would rather spew you out of my mouth. I wish you were hot, or I wish you were cold. I wish you were good, or I wish you were evil. But because you're warm, I don't even listen to you. Nobody likes tepid drinks. I know I don't. I want my drink cold or I want it hot. I don't want it warm. Okay? Let's proceed. Now when they fall, they shall be aided with a little help, but many shall join with them by intrigue. So this is your tarot card readers, your corrupted witch people. Oh wow, this is so cool. Let's go over here and do witchcraft. This is what does the word intrigue mean? Enchantment. What does enchantment mean? Evil, corruption, occultism. So many fake Christians will be called away through witchcraft. We see it all the time. We got people on YouTube saying they're Christians as they're reading tarot cards. Like, that ain't Christianity, you crackpot. They're not Christians. They'll be swept away. Okay? They're not Christians. Christians don't read tarot cards. Christians don't read tea leaves. Christians don't go to mediums and sorcerers and do sorcery. Not Christians. Now when they fall, they will be aided with a little help, but many shall join with them by intrigue. And some of those of understanding shall fall. See, they thought they knew. Or they'll fall and they'll get up again. And they shall fall, some to refine them, to purify them, and make them white until the time of the end, because it is still for the appointed time. So some will be, many Laodicean Christians will have to get hot or get cold, because you got to get hot or you got to get cold. You either got to join the devil and the beast system at this point and take the mark of the beast and let me tell you something. If you take the mark of the beast, you're done. You're done. None of this, oh, you can still get saved after taking the mark of the beast. No, you can't. When you've made a covenant with the devil, you've made a covenant with the devil. And you know exactly what you're doing. You signed a contract saying, the contract will be something like, I forfeit my Christianity, etc. It will be a divorce decree to the Most High God. Yeah, that's right. It will be a divorce decree to the Most High God. You will be telling God, I am divorcing you and I'm joining evil. Okay, let me say it again. You will be signing a contract that is a divorce decree to the Most High God. I am not yours, you are not. I am not yours and you are not mine. So don't tell me you can come out from that, because you can't. The Bible teaches us you can blaspheme the Holy One, which is Jesus. You can blaspheme the Father, but you can't blaspheme the Spirit of the living God and come out of that. Once you do that, you're done. Now, people will argue back and forth. Can they come out? Well, I'm going to say this. The Bible says they can't. If God changes his mind, which he can do if he chooses to, he might. I can't speak for God. Can he change his mind? Of course he can, and he has throughout history. In biblical times, he's changed his mind. Moses talked him out of destroying all the people in the wilderness, or he was just going to whack them all off. He may as well have, probably, but a few of them made it. And Moses said that. It's like, wait. Prophets will come to God and say, wait a minute, just wait. Hold. Don't kill everybody because you're angry. But do you blame him? And he's not acting. When God killed all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, for instance, or the people before the flood, people in the flood, they were corrupted utterly. He wasn't just pissed. He wasn't acting out of a moment. They were corrupted utterly. It was a wasteland. Everybody in the flood, other than Noah and his, were polluted through bestiality and homosexuality and covenants with the devil. They were sleeping with animals and stuff. There were half-breed people all over the place. There still is, by the way. We're walking around with the seed of serpent, to be sure. And when I say the seed of serpent, it's not literally the devil. The devil can't have isn't having sex with people, but it's the equivalent of it. You've gone the way of Cain, is the way I like to put it. You've gone the way of Adam and Eve and Cain, their son. And once you do that, well, good luck trying to change God's mind. Enoch tried to do it with the fallen angels. It didn't work. They had gone too far. So for you Pentecostal liars that are teaching you can't go too far. Oh, yes, you can, and you probably have. And some of those of understanding shall fall to refine them, purify them, and make them white until the time of the end, because it is still for an appointed time. Then the king shall do according to his own will. He shall exalt and magnify himself above every god, shall speak blasphemies against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the wrath has been accomplished, for what has been determined shall be done. So if you see here in verse 36, let's read it again. Then the king shall do according to his own will. He shall exalt and magnify himself over every god, small g, shall speak blasphemies against the capital G of small g's. This is compelling, because it's telling you, it's proving to you that God is the God of everything. He says it in Job. He says it throughout the Bible. I'm the God of all the hosts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm the God of Lucifer. I am the God of Satan. I am the God of the fallen angels, and I am the God of the holy angels. I'm the God of the heathen, the blasphemer, the liar, the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter. God is the God of everything and everyone. There are no other gods like him. There are no other gods, period. He shall regard neither the God of his fathers nor the desire of women. So see, he's what you would call asexual. He's not bisexual. He's not queer. He's asexual. He's non-sexual. He's well, he might be gay, but he's basically, I think the transliteration is pretty clear that he's asexual. He's not in this for the pleasure of sin, or the pleasure of sexual sin. He's in this for, the fight. He's really in this in the last moments of history, just as a warring evil spirit of Satan. Okay? It's not about sex at this point. It's not about anything as pedestrian as sex at this point. Okay? He shall regard neither the God of his fathers. Now this is interesting, because the God of his fathers, who are we talking about here? The main God, the real God, God Yahweh, the God of his fathers. So this intimates that this man who has an entity in him had fathers, or excuse me, there were people that were perhaps not evil. It sort of alludes to neither the God of his fathers nor the desire of women. So it alludes to the real God, Yahweh, the only God. And then it alludes to he's not a man, a heterosexual male. Obviously, he's not a heterosexual male. Now we immediately go to the fact, well, then he must be gay. Not necessarily. I lean more towards he's asexual, because this is not about sex. Like I just said, that would be very pedestrian at this point. This isn't about getting laid. This is about trying to fight with the Most High God for the kingdom of darkness. That's all it is. For he shall exalt himself above them all. Well, he can try. But in their place he shall honor a God, small g, of fortresses, and a God, small g, which his fathers did not know. So see, here again we're going, well, who were these people that were his fathers? They're intimating here, it's it being intimated through the book of Daniel from the angels, the good angels that are bringing the revelation. They're intimating that there was some that believed in the real God. He shall honor so then he says, but in their place he shall honor a small g of God of fortresses, and a small g, which his fathers didn't know these gods. He shall honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and pleasant things. So I mean, it's all, if we look back in history, everybody that is Antichrist within them has been in love with gold and silver, and that's the god of mammon. Okay, but they're intimating here that is not like that. That some did not honor the gods of silver and gold. It's, you got to listen carefully. Say it again. But in their place he shall honor a god of fortresses. So these are territorial gods, demons, and demons which his father did not know he shall honor with silver and gold, with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus he shall act against the strongest fortresses with a foreign god, which he shall acknowledge and advance its glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many and divide the land for gain. So this is a foreign god. This is an element of evil that no one has really understood before, because, well, the Antichrist, the full Antichrist spirit is here. And so, it's hard to teach on this. It's very, very heavy load on my mind. It's hard to articulate the words because my brain is tired from trying to think it out. This is clearly, okay, here it is. So throughout history, throughout all of history, because this is the end of history that's being taught, evil has done what? Elevate. God has taken his hand to lots of people throughout the centuries and eliminated them. The world before the world began was a world we know nothing about, where the fallen angels and Lucifer and all of that. So there was that, and he destroyed it. And then he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and then he destroyed in Noah's day, and he will destroy again. But throughout all of this history, evil has gained. Now it says it will be like the days of Noah, like them, but worse. You're missing the nuance here. It will be like that, where everybody is pretty defiled, but it'll be even worse. So the Antichrist here is, this is the pièce de la résistance, if you will, of evil. This is the top of the evil chain right here. That their fathers, the fathers of yesteryear did not know. The people of the past did not know. It's beyond the love of money. It's beyond the sex thing. That's why he's like, it's not about sex. It's always been about money, but it's beyond that. Pick up the nuance. Thus he shall act against the strongest fortresses with a foreign god, which he shall acknowledge and advance its glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many and divide the land for gain. So again, when we're talking about land, it isn't about land anymore. In past history, it was about dividing land and the lots that God set up for each tribe of Israel. This is not about land. This is about evil, territory of evil. This is not about Judah versus Israel, or, this is about territorial spirits for evil. I mean, it's always been about that. But this is the crescendo of that. It's not about dividing lands. It's about, what has Satan been trying to do since the fall, and even before the fall, in the pre-world, or whatever we're calling it. He wants to take down every one of God's children he can take down. So this is the crescendo. This is the cup of wrath is full because of all the evil. This is worse than the days of Noah. This is the end of time, when God just says, that's it. I'm done. It's over forever. There ain't going to be no more new worlds. I'm not giving anybody any more chances. We're done now. You better be on the right side of business. Chapter 11, verse 40, the northern king's conquests. At the time of the end, the king of the south shall attack him, and the king of the north shall come against him, like a whirlwind with chariots, horsemen, and with many ships. And he shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. He shall also enter the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape from his hand: Edom, which is Rome, Moab, and the prominent people of Ammon. He shall stretch out his hand against the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. He shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver, and over the precious things of Egypt. Also the Libyans and Ethiopians shall follow at his heels. But news from the east and the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go out with great fury to destroy and annihilate many. And he shall plant the tents of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and no one will help him. So that concludes chapter 11. We have one more chapter 12, which is a pretty brief chapter, and I'm not going to get into it here. But the synopsis is this. Daniel, because of all the prophets that ever lived, Daniel is the only one that gets the full dope on the end. The only one. Even John, it's different with John, the disciple John, who Jesus Christ talks to through the book of Revelation, which is very in depth, and it's a mind bender. But the book of Daniel is very unique. Even it parallels the book of Revelation, but it's very unique. This is one guy who did not live in the time of Jesus, who did not know the Messiah, who did not, have the gift that John, the disciple John, had to walk with Jesus and to know him. Nobody else except those 12 had that experience. No other prophet had the experience of what John and Peter. I really only speak about John and Peter because the rest are kind of meaningless. I mean, not meaningless, but ultimately they play a much smaller role than John or Peter. So Daniel is so unique, and that's why he fascinates me so much, because out of all the books of the Bible, God chooses Daniel alone. He tells Ezekiel a lot of things. He tells Isaiah a lot of things. He tells Jeremiah a lot of things. But no one's quite like Daniel. And it fascinates me unendingly. I study this book all the time, over and over and over, because I'm trying to understand the quintessential thing that Daniel possessed that no other man in history has ever possessed. And the only conclusion you can come to is a devoutness that parallels the 144,000. He's almost perfect, sin-wise. He comes into this at a very young age and spends a lifetime in exile. This is a very, very unique. He's different than Jeremiah. He's different than the other prophets. He's very unique. No other prophet, none, has this gift, this direct pipeline to God and his speaking through the highest ranking archangel. Nobody else really has that opportunity. Gabriel speaks to Mary, Virgin Mary. He speaks to Zechariah, John the Baptist's father, but nothing like this. It's very unique, and either you get it or you don't. But when you study the book of Daniel, when Gabriel comes on the scene and says, Daniel, most beloved, God thinks you are just everything. And what really just brings me to my knees is when he says, do you understand? I stand in the presence of God. I'm not just some schmuck here. This isn't just some dream you're having. I'm the highest ranking angel there is. And I stand in the presence of God. Nobody else does that like me. Not even all the angels stand in the presence of God like Gabriel. You have to understand this. There is a hierarchy in the angel world as we see. A third of them fell. They have no standing now. We go all the way back to the beginning and we look at the seventh of Adam, which was Enoch. This was a guy that was so incredible he didn't even see death. And Elijah too. Different amazing things that God does with certain prophets. But I'm telling you, Daniel stands alone for me. I love them all, but Daniel is, I have to help myself from worshiping this man. I'm like, wait a minute now, he's just a man, but he's so incredible that it's hard not to. Like he has difficulty not worshiping the angels because they're so great. I have difficulty not worshiping Daniel because he's so great. I mean, I know better and I'm not literally worshiping him, but I hold him in such high esteem that it's immeasurable how much I love this man and what he's done for my soul in teaching me. The sanctification is unparalleled. We'll take up chapter 12 tomorrow.